Alright guys, so in the last video we discussed about a couple of things. In this video, as I said, I'll be giving you a live demo. So let's proceed ahead. So in this live demo, we will be developing a program, the same program that you have just seen in the previous slides about the calculating a salary of an employee or a person. Okay, so what we will be doing here is running a code with two different approaches, as we already talked about, using an interactive session in terminal and as a separate script. And we will see what are the syntax error, what are the exceptions, and what are the logic errors. Okay, so let me proceed ahead by showing you how do we execute a Python code. So first of all, okay, so let me pull up these two things here. So you can go to code.visualstudio.com to download Microsoft Visual Studio, and so I already have it installed on my computer. So once you open Microsoft Visual Studio, you can click on this button, which is Explorer. You can go to Open Folder and you specify where you want to actually store your files. So click on the Open Folder. I would be storing it in my Summary 2023, let's say 1010 lectures. Okay, so here I open the folder and it opened it in the file explorer. So I do have a couple of things like activities week 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what I can do here is, so this is how you open a development environment. So once you have the development environment set up, you can click on a folder. So you can also organize your summer course in these form of weeks. So click on week 1. You can click on this icon to create a new folder within the selected folder. So once you've created, let's say I give it a name, course, and within codes we will be writing or storing our Python scripts. So before I start writing a script, I would like to first demonstrate how you can interactively write a code and execute it line by line in a terminal. So if you're using a Mac version, you can just click on Command and the space bar to trigger this Spotlight search capability in Mac. So you can write terminal here, and which will open the terminal. So here you can see it is again a piece of software which allows you to navigate through your entire computer operating system with the help of commands only. Okay, so what you do is you can trigger the Python interpreter by writing Python 3. Here in this, I have multiple versions of Python installed on my computer. That's why I'm writing Python 3 to trigger the Python 3 interpreter. So when you hit enter, you see your prompt changes into these 3 arrows, which means that you are in a Python interpreter now, and whatever Python command you type, it will execute it immediately. So let's say we type the print statement. So print, we have to print the output, and whatever statement that you write, it should be in the enclosed in quotes, double quotes, or a single quote. It could be anything. Okay, so hello, hello, this is our first Python statement. Okay, and when I hit enter, it will execute this piece of line and it prints this statement, output statement. So you might be wondering what has just happened. It actually executed this statement, and because this statement is supposed to be throwing off the output sentence, whatever you have written in here, it will just print it here directly. So whatever you're doing, you will be executing the output immediately. So for example, if I say another example, x equals 1, let's say y equals 2, and then you can perform x plus y, which will give you the result 3. Okay, so when you hit enter, you're executing the instructions immediately. Unlike the Python script where you would write a code, it will not be executed immediately and unless you execute it explicitly. So here everything is happening right now. Now let me come out of the interpreter and show you something which I was talking to you guys about, that when you come out of the interpreter, you lose everything whatever you have written previously in the Python interpreter. So the way to come out of Python interpreter is either by pressing Control D on your keyboard, or simply write exit. Okay, so when you write exit, it comes out of the Python interpreter. You can see the prompt is changed now to this symbol. Now I'm trying to go back into Python interpreter again. So I'm writing Python 3 again. And now if I try to print x plus y, let's see what happens. So x plus y is not defined. X is not defined. Y is not defined also. It doesn't give you the error for y because it first encountered x and it did not find x is defined anywhere. So it throws off an error immediately. Okay, so that was the previous Python interpreter session. And as I said, when you come out of Python interpreter, everything that you have written is lost. Okay, so you can also come out of Control D. So in order to save your Python program as a separate file and retrieve it later, you have to write a Python program and store it with the help of .py extension. Okay, so I'm closing this terminal right now here and going back to Microsoft Visual Studio. So in the codes directory, what I can do is I can double click and create a new file, or I can also click here to create a new file here. So let's give it a name, celery underscore calc. Now in order to identify what type of file it is, if I say .py, it automatically determines that it's a Python file and give it a Python icon. Okay, so when I click here, now I'm in the interface where I can write a Python program, just like you invoke Word document to write a Python write a document, application or whatever. Okay, so let's move on. Right, wage equals, let's say 20. I'm doing the same thing that you have already seen in the lecture slides. Hours equals 40 and weeks equals 52. Now you calculate salary equals wage. Now you can see here wage times. Now it automatically detects, so these are the syntax error. It automatically detects that the statement is incomplete. It is expecting an expression, a complete expression. Okay, so when you hover over your cursor over this error, it tells you the expected expression. Okay, and the expression could be complete by writing in another another object that is holding a value, hours. So it is valid expression now in Python. However, logically, if I do not include weeks, it will not give me the exact salary of a person. Okay, that would be a logical error if I exclude this. It would be syntactically correct in Python, but it would be a logical error. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now we have processed these three inputs. We already have actually calculated the expression and stored the results in salary. Now I have to print the salary. So if I just simply write salary, it would just simply print the number that is holding in this salary object, that is stored in this salary object. Let's try running this code. So when we hit the play button, it would run this code, and you can see here 41,600 is printed. So that's what I was saying, that it should have a meaningful, the output should have a meaningful statement. So let me add a meaningful sentence. This salary is, and then if I hit the run button again, it now prints a meaningful message. Now salary is 41,600. In the previous output, I did not know what is 41,600. It could be a number, it could be anything. So here salary is, it specify explicitly that salary is 41,600. Maybe you could have made it more meaningful by writing salary in let's say in USD, US dollar is this. So run it again, and it says salary in USD is 41,600. Now you can also clear this screen, terminal screen, by typing this clear, and it will just clear. And this is exactly the same terminal that we invoke using the command spacebar terminal. Okay, so it is integrated into this development platform. Okay, so there are another ways of, instead of hitting this button, what you can do, let me close this here. What you can do here is actually you can select this folder, double click, and select this option, open an integrated terminal. So what will happen is it will open this folder in a terminal interface. Now I can directly run this program using Python 3 command and write the name of the file, which is celery. So I have written cell, and if I press the tab button, and if the file already exists in this folder, it will complete the file name. So I just hit the tab button and it completed the file name. Now what I do is just hit the return key, and you see the salary is USD is 41,600. Now let's move on and update the values. Let's say update value of wage to 25, and then again let's say print meaningful. So you can see here when I hit the open brace, it automatically includes the close brace. Okay, and when I hit the double quotes, it automatically include its corresponding ending double quote. Okay, so this is the power, and this is the beauty of the complex integrated development environment. I can write updated salary in USD is, and I can now use salary. But have we calculated salary, update salary? No, not yet. With the help of this wage, we have to calculate the salary. So what I can do is I can either copy and paste this again. So again, Python program executes instruction by instruction, line by line. So wage, hours, weeks are calculated, and then salary is evaluated based on these values, and then the output is printed in this line. Now Python interpreter will move on, and it will fetch the new value of wage, and then in the next line it will calculate the new value of salary based on the updated value of wage, and then print the new value stored in the salary object, the same object. So this object will be overwritten in line number 10. Okay, now let's run it again. Let me clear the screen first. And so if you in terminal, if you click on the up arrow key, it will actually, it holds a history of command that you have executed before. So keep on clicking until you encounter this statement, Python 3 salary underscore cal.py is the statement, is the command to run this Python program. So hit return, and it runs the program, and first it calculates the salary in USD is 41,600, and the updated salary based on this updated value of wage is 52,000. Now I wanted to demonstrate to you about the syntax errors. Okay, so occurs when Python finds an incorrect statement. So we have already seen, like let's say if I say week, so week is a correct statement, but it says that week is not defined because the actual name of this object is weeks. So this is something like warning statements. If I just clear that off, and you see this is a syntax error, it is highlighting because this is an incorrect statement, it is an incomplete statement because it is expecting another argument after this multiplication sign. So this asterisk represents multiplication sign. These are the syntax errors. Okay, and if you would be using a simple text editor like Sublime, Atom, or Notepad++, you would only be writing a Python code. It will not detect any syntax errors during runtime. Okay, so most development environment highlighted as I have already demonstrated to you. Talk about the exceptions. What are the exceptions? For example, if I try to execute something like this, see, you get an error. an exception which is not allowed in Python program. So instead of having this, so for example, if I calculate this and if I try to execute this statement dividing it by 0, let's see what happens. So here the first statement ran correct, and when it encounters this statement, it gives an error like division by 0. This is what we call an exception. It raises an exception. There are different types of exception, and this is an exception which tells us that we are trying to divide something with a 0, and it will just terminate the code immediately as it encounters this kind of exception. Okay, so this is another type of error other than syntax error. This is another exceptional error. And another thing is the logic errors, the error in the logic, which is an unexpected output. So for example, I write salary equals wage times hours and I forgot to include weeks. Okay, now let's see what happens. If I execute this code, it would run flawlessly. However, we have seen that the wage was increased from 20 to 25, but why is my salary reduced to 10,000 and it's 1,000 compared to 41,600? This is what we call the logical error. It's an error in our program. Development environment cannot identify it as. You as a programmer has to debug these kind of logic errors and fix it yourself. So let's fix it by just typing undo whatever I did before, and let's execute this thing again, and there you go. Okay, so this was a very quick demo, and I hope it would be helpful, and if you have any questions, you can put it in the comments or in the Discord channel. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.